Good morning, or good day, or good evening, depending on your current time zone. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today on accelerating manufacturing. We very much appreciate your time and attendance today. Before we move on to our agenda, I'd like to do just some brief webinar logistics. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded. All registered attendees will receive a link to the recording upon the completion of the webinar. We'll have some poll questions during our webinar just to keep things a little bit interactive, nothing too heavy. We'll address questions at the end of the webinar, and for those that we don't answer during the webinar, we'll follow up afterwards. We're not going to respond in the question window. I'll take the questions at the end, and I'll pull the questions myself. If we can go to the next slide, you can see here on your webinar interface where you could post some questions during the webinar. So feel free to post them during the webinar, and I'll take them at the end. And as I said, whatever we don't answer here, we'll have a follow-up on. And perhaps you don't want to ask what's for lunch. That was just an example. All right, next slide, please. Here we have today's agenda. So we want to have a brief introduction to SYSTEMA and talk a little bit about how we're organized and how that's kind of evolved. We'll talk about the art of automation as a smart manufacturing enabler. We have smart manufacturing SAP MII. And then we'll look at SYSTEMA's SAP MII suite with an overview and a demonstration, and then specific example of a case study. We'll have a bit of a review about SYSTEMA's MII suite benefits. And then, as I said, at the end, we'll have a Q&A. Oh, and also I'll mention with our Q&A, I said that we would have a follow-up for the questions we didn't answer. In addition, when we send you the link for the completed webinar, we'll send you a document that has all the questions and the answers. So you'll have that as well upon the completion of the webinar. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about SYSTEMA, make some introductions. Perhaps some people haven't met SYSTEMA before. So we're a global specialist in business process automation and integration of manufacturing IT, and I'll let you know a little bit about how that's progressed when we talk about how we're organized. I have 25 years experience in high-tech industries, starting in semi with our base and moving forward. We are a privately held company. We do have a minority investment in a WMS organization, and this investment it's a program that helps ensure with resources and support and guidance that you can move from a medium-sized company to a larger-sized company. So it's for future sustainability for SYSTEMA. IS 9001 certified. There are a little bit over 200 of us now. We're in 8 offices, headquartered in Dresden, Germany. Here you see our lovely green, ecologically friendly building in Dresden. We originated in Regensburg, Germany. That was our original office. US office is in Bend, Oregon. We have offices in Malaysia, Singapore, India, and most recently, we welcome Brazil. And we also have several people that work remotely in the US. I work out of Austin, Texas, is my location. Next slide, please. So here we're going to talk a little bit about SYSTEMA's line of businesses, and this is how lines of business. This is how we're organized. So we have integrated automated business systems, and we started there with, in 2000, we had 4. So let's talk about our 4. Equipment integration automation, an SAP line of business, and MES. And so at this point, the MES group, we have a lot of experience with a lot of different legacy applications, mostly semiconductor based, and a lot of niche applications. So that started off as its own group. Integrated automated business systems started out as really a way to bring products to customers that weren't originally commercially available. And then you can see that that group has progressed as far as big data, machine learning, predictive analytics, moving off towards a more robotics orientation. Equipment integration and automation, this group started also semiconductor focused, and with the standard protocols in semiconductor, maybe SexGem or some other protocols, and then protocols across other industries for CNC machines. Perhaps you might think of SCADA. And moving from those kind of protocols, looking more at Industry 4.0 or support for smart manufacturing and looking at the Internet of Things. So moving beyond protocols and maybe even moving to where we have to add sensors to equipment in order to support smart manufacturing or Industry 4.0. Then moving on forward in the future towards a digital twin and cyber physical systems. SAP business, so we have been an SAP innovative partner for over 10 years. And we started this cooperation with SAP when Visit Prize was acquired by SAP. So we utilized our team in Germany to work with SAP colleagues in Waldorf, and we also work closely with Mike Lackey's team in Atlanta. And as I said, we've been a trusted partner for over 10 years. And if we look in the center here for the SAP line of business, this progression, we can see where SYSTEMA's core competencies are in SAP. So we talk about SAP manufacturing, which includes MII, which we'll be talking about today, different SAP ERP integrations, database platforms, and moving towards predictive maintenance and quality. Cloud scenarios, so we talk about the digital manufacturing in the cloud, and we'll see that that is something that SAP MII, our solution, is oriented to. And then we already talked about MES. So MES, so this was semiconductor centric. And as we're moving forward till we see more consolidated business with our SAP line of business, then we can take the experience from MES and semiconductor industry and also from automation line of business above at EIA, and we can see how we can benefit and bring those expertise and experience into the SAP line of business, so that eventually then concentrates us with two business units, factory integrated automation and SAP centric. And we mentioned before that we have 200 employees, between 70, more towards 80 now, are working in the SAP line of business group. And next slide, please. Oh, actually, do we have a poll question we can do before this slide? So here we go. So we have a poll question. We talked a little bit about SYSTEMA, so maybe we could ask a little bit about y'all's roles and what you do in your company. And while you are thinking about answering that, I'll mention that maybe some people are wondering how Max Maxi is related to the Max Suite product that we're going to talk about today, the MII solution. And I will tell you that we are not related by genetics, we are related by marriage. So obviously my name is already Max, and the Max Suite product was already branded. So that's how we have Max Maxi speaking to you or introducing to you today the webinar on Max Suite solution.
I'm going to close the poll.
Oh, okay. So we can then see an interesting mix of the people participating today: production managers, manufacturing specialists, SAP reps, and other. Okay, good. Thank you. So now we'll move to the next slide, and here we're going to talk about the art of automation. This is a big strength of SYSTEMA, and we're going to talk about the art of automation as a smart manufacturing enabler. So if we start with integration, we think of integration as the art of really harmonizing semantics between disparate hardwares and IT applications. So we think about an environment where we have to mix legacy and modern components, and that has to be adaptable to have a stable, monitorable, and scalable service interface access. And we really think about this as laying the foundation for the art of automation. Moving forward in art of automation, this is the art of really transforming manually performed business processes into something that is orchestrated and controlled through a software solution and automatically executed using integrated components. that we talked about as being part of the foundation. Optimization then is the goal of automation, and this is the ability to for manufacturing efficiency, throughput, utilization and yield, also quality. And we talk about those aspects, not only across sites, but across business functions. Then visualization is really providing that important transparency of perspective between manufacturing, engineering, and supply chain operations. And when we look at this, then we're talking about planned, in process, and completed information. We also would include in visualization the idea of simulation, having simulation abilities across those areas. Migration is really talking about now it's time to exchange mission critical process and systems and deployments while we're successfully deploy them while we're executing manufacturing operations, and we want to do that without disruption. Sometimes this is referred to as open heart surgery while running a marathon. And SYSTEMA has a lot of experience in helping you pick a migration and also plan the appropriate way to deploy that migration. So we've mentioned here a little bit or talked about these aspects of the art of automation as a manufacturing enabler. And now I will turn the webinar over to Alex, who will talk a little bit about smart manufacturing and MII.
Great, thanks, Max. So let's get started talking about that. So with our ever-growing partnership with SAP, we here at SYSTEMA have been doing our part in bringing the manufacturing process into the Industry 4.0. The Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, and cloud computing are changing the way organizations approach manufacturing. This shift, commonly referred to as Industry 4.0, is characterized by the digitization of processes, automation, and continuous optimization. Having a digital transformation of manufacturing processes allows you to leverage accurate and timely data for critical decision-making. Utilizing these concepts, you can expect increased efficiency, production quality, and end-to-end manufacturing transparency. The SAP Manufacturing Suite is a modular, scalable solution that can be tailored to your needs and is robust enough to provide full integration from machine level to ERP. This kind of integration and connectivity are key to the digitization of manufacturing. Alyssa, can you please move to the next slide, please? Thank you. Many of the customers we here at SYSTEMA work with are across the board when it comes to their manufacturing processes. We work with a range of companies who, on one side, are looking for traceability in their handwritten, manually entered records, and on the other side, are fully automated and have their resources fully connected up and down their process. And it's incredibly important to know which phase of digital transformation you fall into. You might fall into phase one. If you're performing many of your tasks by hand across your shop floor and are looking for some sort of traceability. We feel here that there is quite a lot of opportunity for error when you have these kinds of practices. In phase two, you might have some connections to your equipment. You're able to have some sort of data collection and communication to your shop floor that isn't a physical person walking to and from it. And at this point, you might find actually a lot of value in SAP's manufacturing integration and intelligence, or in shorter terms, MII. And after that, you have the ability to really expand and start to think about automating your processes with an MES. But that's a topic for a different webinar. So today, we're going to look at SAP's MII and how this implementation can grant insights into your process from SAP ERP down to your shop floor, and how we have the ability to give you a jump start in your investment with this expansive toolbox. But first, like we said, with a few sprinkled in polls, we'd like to get to know you just a little bit more, and this will help us a little bit further down the line. And we would like to present another poll question to you. In just a second here, you'll see a poll about how often do you interact with SAP MII. And this can range from frequently, you use it every day, you work with it every day. I do not interact with MII solutions. Means you could either not even know about it, this is the first time you've heard about it, or it's just not something you ever really touch or interact with. And then you have everywhere in between. So we'll take a few seconds for that. And then Alyssa, once the poll answers are in, go ahead and close it up. I hope everybody's staying warm. Here in Bend, Oregon, it's snowing. But I believe for Max, it's a completely different type of weather.
Very far from snow.
I woke up and I
Beautiful,
needed to maybe put on a sweater.
beautiful sunny day in Austin, Texas.
Is that like a 70 sunny or is that like an 80 sunny?
82 will be our high.
Wow, what a world we live in.
It looks like most of the answers are in. I'll be closing the poll.
Great. Great. So this is wonderful. So we have a mixture for us here. With frequently, we touch it, we interact with it, we work on it every day, or to not at all, whether we don't work on it, whether we don't touch it, and that's great. I myself am on the frequently side as well, with 36% of you. And this is great because with this, we really need to have a foundation for what we're going to talk about in a little bit more. And even if you frequently work with this every single day, it's sometimes hard to remember, or it's not even something you think about of how you got there. And I feel like even if you have quite a bit of knowledge of this, this will hopefully be a refresher for you on this wasn't an overnight thing. So thank you, Alyssa. We can move on. So to start our discussion today, I'd like to go over just some of the key features of SAP's MII. As our topic today relies on the foundation of MII, it's important to keep these ideas in mind as we continue further into today's webinar. So for those of you who are familiar with MII, this is just going to be a high-level refresher for you. And for those of you who are not, this will hopefully give you the push you need to take a deeper look into it. So how can we start to summarize MII? MII is like the capacity for real-time insights, full traceability, and the ability to make data-driven decisions in an all-in-one convenient toolbox. Well, what does that do for us? We noticed actually when companies first started to review the data collectible by MII, there was genuine surprise. Most companies truly do not know how effective, or in some cases, ineffective their resources are. How often do downtimes occur? How long are those downtimes? What's the impact of those downtimes? How often do you have reworked product? And what are you actually doing with that reworked product? With MII, questions like these are easily answered. Having that layer of communication between our ERP and shop floor is exactly what we need to fully appreciate these kinds of benefits. Having access to real-time data allows us to create a variety of UI5 dashboards for visualization. The dashboards provide need-to-know reports for C-level executives at a glance and easy-to-use interfaces with relevant ERP data for the shop floor. Whether it be resource effectiveness, inventory, scheduling, or even event handling, with MII, that information is at our fingertips. MII really allows us to understand the data at any point in our production process, past or present. The drill down provided by MII can give us a bird's eye view that can then be pinpointed to an exact asset at an exact time. Having this gives us the ability to watch for disruptions and possible problem areas in production that we can then make a fully informed decision about. Remember, MII is a toolbox. It connects your ERP to your shop floor, and in the right hands, it is incredibly powerful. The question then becomes, how do you handle all this data? Well, naturally, you would start with requirements. You take some time to really verbalize an idea of like what kind of data you would like. Then you take those ideas and you put them into action. You use MII development tools and you create prototypes. You create the look and feel for UI5 dashboards that tens, hundreds, and maybe even thousands of employees will be using. And then, like all good development, you test it and you iterate it. You tweak it and you get it just right. And then you do it again and again and again and again until you get it exactly where you need it, all while learning and understanding more and more of the capabilities you truly have. It's kind of like learning how to walk, right? First you crawl and you understand how to move on all fours, but for us that's fairly inefficient. So you learn to walk. Awkward at first, bumping into things, falling overs, But overall, you're walking. And then when you get really good at walking, you start to run, and then you start to sprint. And it, of course, takes time. It takes time to get to running, but still, you will get there. However, time is critical. The thing with these powerful tools is the complexity and the time it takes to get everything you want out of it. But with our 25 years worth of experience, our knowledge, and our iterations, we have put that all into one solution to accelerate your investment with MII, the Max Suite. I'd like to hand it over to Alyssa now to tell us about just that. So, Alyssa?
Hello, thank you, Alex. So to reiterate his last statement there, based on our years of experience in developing and customizing solutions that serve the needs of both the discrete and process industries, we've identified a number of common requirements and developed a solution in MII, the Max Suite or MII Accelerator Suite, that addresses these needs. SYSTEMA's Max Suite addresses requirements in areas of production, process, quality, and asset management. So this next section will be an overview with some example dashboards, and then we're going to take a deeper look with the demonstration. The first area that we're going to look at is production management and bidirectional integration. Here we're looking at the production planning screen within the Max Suite. This includes the planned production order and all the details of the order, such as the materials and quantities to be produced. The ERP integration is bidirectional. Master data, production orders, material characteristics, and quality plans are created in SAP ERP or your planning system and then brought down or downloaded into the Max Suite so that the information is available on your shop floor. Then, order execution, material consumption, labor, quality data, and production notifications can be sent back to your ERP or planning system. The next area that we're going to look at is process management. This includes shop floor operations, equipment and line status management, shift management and monitoring, and efficiency monitoring. This is an example of a production confirmation dashboard where an operator records work performed on order. Shop floor dashboards such as this, implemented in SAP UI5 for the Max Suite, allow operators to select production orders created in SAP ERP, record work performed on these orders, and record good movement on the shop floor. Additionally, the Max Suite offers a dedicated stops control interface, as you can see here. The events of equipment or line can be managed and monitored via this interface and allows the operator to record and view downtime. The operator also has the opportunity to provide justification for downtime of a particular equipment or line. Dashboards for shift monitoring allow shift managers to record and view all relevant shift information in a digital shift report. The shift manager can record events that occurred during a shift and see summaries of shift details such as work in progress and efficiency. Additionally, we have dashboards for monitoring efficiency. These are available to the operator to view OEE for production efficiency, quality, and time that includes a summary of downtime and a breakdown of the main causes for downtime. All of these reports and dashboards follow a configurable workstation concept. They are configurable based on the needs of the lines and the variables that are required to be captured. The next section that we're going to look at is quality management. This includes inspection, sample registration, and quality control monitoring. Through a dedicated quality control workstation, such as the one you see here, operators can collect and record inspection data as it pertains to the material, lot, or batch. Inspection lots are created in ERP, and inspection results are recorded and then transferred back to the ERP. Additionally, on the shop floor, samples manually or automatically collected and sent to the lab for inspection can be captured in the sample registration menu. This includes the production order where the sample came from and the sample point where the sample was collected. Lastly, we have quality control monitoring. Quality control monitoring combines the results from the quality management inspection lots and the visualization of variables in an SPC and SQC module. Everything is contextualized, allowing for timely and accurate quality results. Lastly, we're going to take a look at asset management. With asset management, a picture of your plant can be captured in the creation of an asset tree, such as the one that we see here. An asset tree serves as a model of the plant, lines, and equipment to contextualize where events and data are captured. In summary, SYSTEMA's Max suite focuses on standard requirements to monitor and control shop floor operations. This solution allows you to combine commercial, planning, manufacturing, and customer data to provide context and visibility into your operation. The Max suite is fully integrated with SAP ERP and SAP S/4HANA, and is also integration ready with SAP Digital Manufacturing Cloud for Insights. Having these standard requirements and basic functions already developed for you out of the box provides a toolkit that allows for rapid, efficient, and a safe way to accelerate the implementation of your solution. The implementation of the Max suite in SAP MII delivers the speed of implementation, but also provides flexibility for customization when you require it. Now I'm going to hand it back to Alex, and he's going to give you a deeper look into the Max suite with a demonstration.
Great, thanks, Alyssa. So we'll be jumping around as well, moving between quite a few different areas of the Max suite. So we just want to try to show you as much as we possibly can in the limited amount of time that we have. All right. Okay, getting started here, let's start at the operator screen. In our case, for production preparation, we can show the production orders that were downloaded from SAP. The operator on this screen can see a multitude of configurable details about every order that they would wish to see just at a glance, and as well can, for example, see things like activities and bill of materials when looking further into an order. Going back to the main view, after we select one of these orders that we would like to execute, we can then move to the goods issued, goods received to execute and notify production. Go ahead and here. Great. So once we've selected the order, we will create, for our example today, we're going to create a manual production of 500 kilos of a product. So if we start by starting a new manual production, Alyssa, I think we have some stops that are occurring. It's just a small technical thing here, whether that's on us or just something. All right, great. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have to input the number of the lot that we would like to use for this, in our case, cement powder, as well as the quantity. So for us, we'll say 500 kilos, and then we can save it. And now we will produce cement powder. And with that, we actually still need to execute the consumption of the raw materials to actually produce the product. So in this example, we will fill at least one of the raw material here, and we will input the lot first, and then as well, we can say for this raw material that we need something like 200 kilos of it to produce the cement powder. After, we can send the production and consumption to SAP. Directly from this screen, you have that option. If we go ahead and on the top right here, we have this release, and we can send. It's great to know, though, that if anything does go wrong, the operator can reverse the order straight from SAP and straight from their workstation. We see each of these lines here has a reverse icon with that. So no matter what, there's a little bit of protection there. And then we're going to jump. Let's jump to then the shift control. This allows the supervisor to monitor the main points of shifts, such as sending messages, checking inventories, or even process variables. So for our example, let's go ahead and create a message. It will be in an example area that we have here of area 1. And we have something like a quality problem. And this quality problem is a melt flow. And an observation that we might have for this is something like wrong viscosity. And then we can confirm this. And now instantaneously, we have this event recorded on shift control. In addition, we can also monitor inventory. Just for example, like here we have this production line, and we can see here the graphics with the performance of the variable up to any designated point up until now. For example, this is a pre-configured one that we have, which is an inventory of the production line, but this can be configured. That's the important point here, is that all these points are configurable. As long as we just change over to a new tab, we can actually change or see the production line variables that we're taking a look at. So heading over to the monitor reports config, just by changing to a different tab in a different screen, we open up whatever plant, factory, or other that we'd like to take a look at or change. And we can see here in factory 1, in area 1, we have all of these variables. And this is where you can assign the variables for factory 1 and plant. And you can assign things like inventories, processes, or even equipment statuses. Jumping now over to stop control. The stop control screen records all the events of a piece of equipment or line, showing the length of the downtimes and allowing the operator to justify those downtimes. And this is based on pre-configured catalogs. So let's start by doing a manual stop. So our equipment was running. It has a green dot. And with this, we can now see that there is a red dot, which for us means that the equipment has been stopped, whether manual or automatically. So in the same vein, we can restart or just start the equipment back up again. And then once more, let's do one more stop so we can see the screen. And we can see the screen shows each start, each stop on this screen. So lastly, let's go ahead and just rerun it as well here. Great. So here we can see red and green dots, but the red ones are the more important ones that we want to take a look at, these stops. And these red dots, these stops can be justified. So let's start by just justifying one of these. Let's say this stop was something like an operational stop due to equipment failure. And that was from something like electrical maintenance. And then finally, electrical maintenance from temperature control. We have these levels of justification. And on top of that, we can put any observations that might help more justify or explain the issue at hand. So for this, we just have some observation tests. So when you do that, you have the event justified. And these justified events are taken into account when calculating the OEE of the asset you have. And so actually regarding OEE, we have another screen for operators. This is the online efficiency screen. So here on this screen is where the operator can follow the production path and the downtimes that would affect production. We can see here we've configured also as well on the top left the production efficiency, the efficiency of quality, and the efficiency of time. And then on the top right, you have the summary of the main stops of your production. And then on the bottom right, we've configured to see the Pareto of the main causes of the start and stops. And finally, at the bottom left, we have the path of production. So let's now change workstations. And we're going to jump over to the quality session. And here you have the workstation of the quality operator. So first things first, we're going to put in our production order. This is just our example order that we'll be using. And so the QM data records downloads from SAP all the inspection lots you have for a specific order. So when we grab those, these inspection lots have all the sample points where you would want to measure the characteristics of the lot. So we see here we have quite a few sample points at the mixing. So we can see if we go ahead and open one here, we see that we have already pre-configured 2 points for this inspection data of a grain size and humidity. And with this, we've also configured that the values here are due to a drop-down box, so pre-configured ones, as well as a value between a lower limit and an upper limit. The operator can record the results of the characteristics of a material or the lot and send it back to the QM for a usage decision or quality certificate. So over here, let's go ahead and place some parameters in where very fond of the grain size is in a defined good value, where 4 is outside of our limit. And here we have a parameter out of the limits, which gives us the red alert. Go ahead and save, click record, and you can send the inspection point directly to SAP from the workstation. So another possibility on the screen is the ability to create new sample points. We see here we have up to 18. So if we wanted to create a new one, we click here on mixing. And just like that, we can create another one and then can place the results in the same way and send them to SAP again. We see we now have this inspection point 19. We'll fill this with some values here where coarse grained is not an acceptable value here at this point, while 1 is. We can then save and send. So now let's talk about the sample registration menu. The sample registration menu controls the reception of a sample from the production line that will be analyzed in a laboratory. So let's start by creating a new one. So this also opens a control lot to receive the results automatically or manually from the lab. So here we'll be creating a sample reception. So we have to record first the production order. And this is the one that we have been using, or will be using for this example and demo purposes. And then we can select the sample point. And the sample point is where you got the sample from, which is in itself very intuitive. However, it's very important for the contextualization of the results. So here, for our purposes, we only have sample point 1, but that shows and gets the point across. And for this one, we actually do not need a lot. And then we can put 1 observation here. So create this, and great. So if we actually go back to the data record view, we will see that in this production order, we will find another sample point. So if we re-enter our production order here, get the results from that, reopen this up, go back to navigate back to mixing, we find another sample point that was created when we received the sample. And now we can, of course, like we have seen, fill in the results. Here we'll place extra fine, and then let's say a value outside of the range. Save it, and then we can send to SAP when the results are done by the lab. And then finally, in the same vein, with the quality monitoring, the operator is able to justify the deviation of the quality results in order for more clarity in the quality analysis. So here we have our production order once again. And so once we get the values for this under the, once again, mixing step, we can see here that all the results that we've gotten from our sample points and all the ones in red, for example, can be justified. So if we open this red one here, we can use the catalogs that we pre-configured here to justify any kind of problems we might have had. So let's, for this instance, we'll go ahead and put in some example cases that might make sense for this particular grain size value. Finish this up with a cause and a location. just something that makes sense here, and then we'll go ahead and save that. And just like that, we can see that the color has changed from red to yellow, meaning that this point has been justified. And up until this point, thanks for watching, guys, on that one. This concludes the demo portion of the webinar. So I'd like to hand it actually back over to my colleague, Alyssa, to give us some insights on a case study so we can see what this might actually look like outside of a demo environment. So, Alyssa?
Thank you, Alex. So SYSTEMA's Max Suite has been implemented successfully with a number of customers. Now, as an example, we're going to show you some problems and requirements we've received from a customer and how we address them with the Max Suite. Here, we're looking at an implementation of the accelerated, the Max Suite for a large bottling company. This company is the largest independent bottling company in the world and works as a joint venture with the #1 soda company in the world. So this company had problems integrating and analyzing its quality results from many variables and sample points within their factory. They required a solution that was modular and replicable so that they had a consistent solution for all of their plants that was also flexible enough and configurable to meet the needs of their shop floor and quality operations. In addition, the solution had to be robust and reliable to support the demand of their daily operations. In general, they required visibility for process and quality control for all of their plants. These requirements were addressed with the use of the Max Suite and the use of inspection lots to track and trace samples from the sample point through inspection and quality results. An SPC SQC module, the one that you see here on your screen, allowed them to visualize process variables and monitor their process and quality within their plant. The SPC and SQC module offers many ways to visualize their variables, and such as control charts to summarize individual data points and a Pareto chart to categorize and identify common defects. The screen that you see up here in the upper left helped them to monitor the efficiency of their lines, and the selection of one of the efficiency dials allowed supervisors to drill down into the details of the line, including the current product being run on that line and planned versus actual quantities produced. In the bottom right, you can see a dashboard that they use to monitor the levels within individual tanks. Overall, the Max Suite solution allowed for them to monitor variables in different ways and on many different levels. The availability of real-time data and process data put into context by these reports and dashboards provides the customer with the tools to make more accurate and timely decisions. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Max for a short review, and then we can move into our Q&A.
Thank you, Alyssa. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's our review for this afternoon. We talked a little bit, Alex did, about smart manufacturing and SAP MII. We looked at an overview of SAP Max Suite by Alyssa, and then a demonstration by Alex. Alyssa then went back and reviewed some case studies so you could see a real world example of a deployment rather than just in the demonstration. So I'll summarize here a little bit the benefits of our SAP Max Suite. Manufacturing automation software development is built in. So that's really built-in experience. So when Alex talked about running to walking and time being critical, then that is a benefit that you have. And we talked about SYSTEMA having 25 years of experience. If we look at the amount of people and the level of experience we have of those combined people, we could literally say we have over 100 years of experience combined in this type of information. And that's a benefit that we put in the product that's provided to you. And that speaks to rapid implementation and deployment to one or more sites. And when we talked about visibility being anytime, anywhere across manufacturing operations, and also that you would have that ability accessible on a mobile device. We have the proven and trusted partnership with SAP technology, and moving forward to have that as well. And we are integration ready. The solution is for SAP Digital Manufacturing Cloud for Insights, DMCI. Let's move into Q&A now. Next slide, please. With our experts on Mac Suite, George and Thiago. We have several questions, but limited time. So let me pick a question that more speaks to a couple aspects. Okay, so we have a question about, can you talk a little bit more about how Mac Suite speeds up implementation? It seems like this question is more like some of the semantics of how it works, George. For the customization. Hello? Yes, we can hear it. How it works for the customization and how that speeds up an implementation.
Okay, this is about the how Macs can speed up an implementation. There's a lot of things related with, first, the experience that we have to help the customer of those implementations. But the way how Macs was developed and how the ability of to configure the system is really something that helps a lot in terms of speed, and not only in the speed, but the assurance for the customer that the thing will work properly. Remember, we have all those screens and those functionalities already pre-developed and able to get results to be implemented very fast to the customer. Of course, that the use of any manufacturing execution system requires time and requires that the customer get used to it. It's very important for the system to be installed and to have time for the customer to use and mature the whole application. But the way that we configure, we modeling the plant, all the tools that we have embedded in Macs to capture data and to transform all those data in information is really something that will speed up a lot on implementation of MES.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We have a general question. Somebody's asking about cost. So I will say on cost, then the cost for the solution is really specific to your environment and your requirements. So, I mean, we have a wide range of implementations for how much detail is required and how much interaction with your ERP. So that would be something that if you would contact me directly, my information will be at the end, we can help you with. And I would also let you know that we do have M&S support, maintenance and support available for the Mac Suite solution, and that can be on a 7x24 basis to meet your requirements. And I think that brings us to about time. Maybe we can do one more question here. George, somebody has a question about SAP Mac Suite and going from paper to paperless, like maybe your experience with change management or how that would look. I think they're thinking about an environment where they're paper now and getting to paperless.
Okay. I think this is also very, very important because we are talking here in a big cultural change. When you just move from the paper to a screen, there's a lot of things that change in the way of how you'll be doing your job. And this transformation and this change management is something that we have to pay a lot of attention. In our experience implementing those kind of systems, it's critical that the upper management of the shop floor and of the company are really committed to use the system, really committed to implement the whole thing. Because, of course, we are getting people, operators, supervisors, managers out of their, how I can say, comfort zone. You know, you will get, of course, the operators will get something that is maybe more easier for them because the screens are friendly and they can perform those things a little better. But you will have a lot of information right on the spot. You will have real-time information, and you will. And if you have real-time information, you have to sometimes give real-time solutions. So this is always something that the management has to think about and be very committed to use the system. Of course, in this case, Mac Suite helps a lot because you can trust on the information that you obtain from the system. You will trust them, and this is one of the parts that we pay more attention when we are doing the implementation. So if you have trustable information and the upper management is committed to use it, this is the main thing that will speed up this change management and changes the culture. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Alrighty, so I think we're about at time now. So if we go to the next slide, please, Alyssa. We'd like to really, once again, thank everybody for your time and attention. And I know everyone's busy, so we really do appreciate it. You can contact me directly here at max.maxisystema.com, or you can also feel free to visit us at systema.com. And everyone should have a great rest of your day. And once again, thank you. And this concludes our US webinar seminar today.